Baiklah, jam sudah menunjukkan pukul 8.35 malam. Jadi Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera semua. Marilah kita mulakan majlis pada hari ini dengan bacaan ummah kitab Al-Fatihah. So, pertama sekali terima kasih kerana sudi meluangkan masa untuk menghadiri satu lagi sesi perkongsian scholarship, di mana sesi ini adalah sebahagian daripada scholarship talk series yang anjuran Ansara Sawangan Taiping bersama-sama unit perkhidmatan bimbingan dan kaunseling Malaysian Taiping yang diadakan melalui Zoom dan Facebook Live. So, pada sesi hari ini kita akan mendengar perkongsian daripada Ko Muhammad Afiq Ko Arsyad dari batch SPM 2012 yang akan menceritakan pengalaman beliau sebagai penerima beasiswa daripada Repsol Oil and Gas Malaysia Limited. So, sedikit latar belakang beliau. Saudara Ko Afiq adalah graduan kejuruteraan kimia ataupun chemical engineering dari Universiti Teknologi Malaysia, UTM. So, beliau kini bekerja sebagai seorang jurutera bahagian utility, facility management dan maintenance di Perodua Manufacturing Sdn Bhd di Rawang. So, dengan ini saya menjemput saudara Ko Afiq untuk berkongsikan pengalaman beliau dengan adik-adik dan para pendengar yang lain. Dipersilakan. Ko Afiq. Mute. Mute.
Okey, baik. Assalamualaikum. Selamat petang. Saya ucapkan kepada audiens yang hadir. First sekali ucapkan thank you kepada Ansara Muda Malaysia Taiping, Cawangan Taiping kerana invite untuk event ni. Jadi saya rasa tak perlu kenalkan diri lagi sebab saya just straight to the point. Tadi Falan dah introduce dah. Jadi untuk scholarship talk malam ni daripada saya, daripada batch 12 tentang scholarship yang jarang dengar sebab dia eksklusif untuk student universiti saja. Okey. Saya receive scholarship pada 2014. Pada tahun tu scholarship ni Talisman Energy. They awarded only 3 university in local UTM for courses of Bachelor of Engineering, Chemical or Petroleum, USM, Bachelor of Science, Geophysics, and UM untuk Bachelor of Science, Geology or Applied Geology. Saya rasa 2015 dia ada tambah satu universiti, Unimas kot, Universiti Malaysia Sabah kot. Ada course saya tak ingat course apa. Jadi for each of this university dia ada offer lah, sama ada undergrad ataupun postgrad lah. Jadi apa yang dia provide benefit daripada dia punya scholarship tu, yang pertama living allowance lah. As per sama je dengan scholarship lain, living allowance bulan-bulan. Dia bagi by semester. Dan dia ada beri book allowance, komputer dan other fees lah regarding kita punya fieldwork yang related lah. Then another perks of having this scholarship, kita ada chances untuk buat nursery training ataupun internship placement lah, ataupun dekat dia punya company, ataupun by the end of kita punya graduations dia ada offer lah ataupun placement lah untuk graduate program. Tapi bukan direct lah, still kena go through same as other applicants lah, ada interview dan sebagainya. But this thing subject to availability lah on that particular time lah. Dan anything event yang berkaitan dengan campus ke apa ke, yang dia perlukan support kita, dia akan request kita punya attendance lah. For example, saya ingat saya time saya dulu waktu ada career talk dekat UTM, career fair. So dia ada buka booth dia orang, one of the sponsor. So dia orang invite kita orang lah as per dia orang punya attendance to student lah dekat dia punya booth. As part of that lah. So pada 2016 dan onward, saya rasa dia orang dah merge, bukan saya rasa lah, yang actually dia orang dah merge dengan Repsol. So, one of the oil and gas company from Spain. Previously Talisman tu from Canada. So after merge with Repsol, they changed the scholarship to Repsol Oil and Gas Malaysia Limited scholarship lah. Dan the scholarship proceed lah. I think the latest one every year they have 2017 sampai 2018, 19. And then onwards saya tak pasti. Tapi as far as contact with the HR, for next year they are not confirmed yet due to certain circumstances lah. But anyway, you guys can update kat dia punya website ataupun dia akan check out dia Lincoln lah. Usually dia akan deliver info dekat situ. Okay, saya akan go through dia punya application process. Basically, sebelum kita selected, dia orang akan pakai result SPM. So from that result SPM, apabila kita dah masuk semester pertama dekat universiti yang saya mention tadi tu, so dia akan refer kita punya result SPM. So result SPM dan result semester 1. Basically apa yang dia nak, dia akan for semester 1 dia akan look for first class lah, first class degree. Dan for SPM adalah certain yang dia akan set sebagai standard dia orang lah. Jadi sebelum dia orang panggil selected tu, after dia orang select by that result at first, then dia akan shortlist kan. Lepas shortlist tu dia akan request untuk hantar letter of why kita we think that kita ni eligible lah for that scholarship. So write up buat one page, then submit to them. Then dia shortlisted more, then dia panggil for interview lah, face to face interview lah. Di face to face interview occur one day, satu hari saja dekat hotel yang dia select untuk buat program ni. Dia ada two face lah, which is individual dengan group interview. So for the individual interview, seingat saya dulu yang datang shortlisted tu 20 student lah, 20 student, which is come from 3 universiti yang saya beritahu tadi tu, satu Malaysia. Daripada UTM tadi tu 3 orang, I think 7 orang kot daripada UTM yang dia shortlistkan daripada all candidates tu, 7 orang. So yang selected to get the scholarship for UTM 3 orang je lah. 2 orang daripada petroleum dan saya the only one daripada chemical lah. Okay, during the individual interview, I think all the students yang datang situ, I think 20 ke 30 orang, 20 orang kot, 20 orang. So divide two group. The first group will go to individual interview first and the other group go to group interview lah. For the individual interview, what I can say is during the interview, usually they're going to have both type of people lah. Number one is yang punya technical person, and number two is yang punya so-called business person ataupun HR lah. Both have their own set of question lah, at which because saya highlight tadi, dia orang memang ambil untuk first semester of kita punya courses. So they don't expect to us to know more about the technical stuff which is related to oil and gas. But if you know, itu satu extra mark to you lah. But if you really don't know, jangan goreng sangat. Nanti nampak sangat attitude kita tak bagus lah daripada awal lagi. So, okay, for the individual interview, apa tips yang saya boleh bagi adalah yang pertama, be ready lah. Which is, be ready ni maksudnya, you must firm, not just physically and mentally also. Because I think during the interview, some students will come out from the interview room, they might be show their satisfaction face and stuff. Somehow, if you don't control your mental, you're going to get easily provoked by them, which is they sound they are already doing the best. You must be ready and stand firm to your ground lah. Okay, be ready. Number two, be true to your words. At which guys mesti tahu yang you guys sampaikan itu betul lah. Bukannya cerita yang dibuat-buat, bukannya just atas resume saja, in actual tak ada praktikal dan sebagainya. Mesti be true to your words. Yang ketiga, be precise and firm. Okay, be precise and firm ni, apa yang saya maksudkan adalah anything you say during the interview akan ditanya. Sebab as per saya mention earlier tadi, memang dia takkan go for technical questions. Dia akan go for anything yang kita cakap. For example, kita say kita pergi join this event dan kita highlight kita punya role kan. And then they will pick up some of the event that you highlight dan you punya role, dan dia akan tanya, what is the most significant contribution throughout your role. Kita mesti understand fully lah what we said. Understand fully and stay firm. Jangan ubah-ubah. Jangan tak tetap pendirian. This is very dangerous lah. So make sure you already know what you want to say and you already ready lah what you want to say. Next, after we finish the individual interview, then we go to the group interview. During the group interview, we are given case study at which I think one group consists of 7 to 8 members. Dalam group tu, then kita akan hold different position lah. I think on that particular time, saya position sebagai accountant saya rasa. Memang kita ada experience benda tu, kita tak ada. Tapi just we hold seingat saya, dia akan beritahu, okay, this role of accountant, what to do. They already guide you. So they give you case study, then up to you macam mana you nak divide the case study, macam mana you nak divide the role, macam mana you nak solve the problem. Usually the case study given for the group interview is solvable. Dia tak ada bagi something yang open ended yang memang tak ada jawapan, too difficult. Tak, dia orang pun ada dia orang punya set of limitation dan sebagainya. So apa yang saya boleh bagikan tips ketika group interview ni, be different. Kenapa be different? I think as long as you remember, at the end of the group interview, what we are asked to line up and give opinions of what we have got after the group interview, during the group task lah. You bayangkan, we have almost 20 people lined up, and if you're unlucky, you're going to stand at the end of the row being asked what you get. Kalau dah 19 orang depan you dah cakap dia punya opinion, somehow you must say something different as you the last person. If you say the same thing, people might be think you are copying, maybe you have no idea, you have no variation, something kan. So be different. Be different tak susah kalau you guys banyak tengok macam mana kita respons tadi, macam mana kita discuss, macam mana kita perbagaikan adjective dan sebagainya, you guys akan dapat idea lah, several ideas. Number 2 is be negotiable lah, be negotiable. And the thing yang management tengok, so-called yang datang interview kita kebanyakan daripada level management, dia senior bahagian technical dan senior bahagian business sebagainya. So be negotiable, maksudnya even you have a role in the group, jangan buat you guys macam you nak control everything. Negotiable, which is okay, orang lain ada job dia, so biarkan dia, he or she do their own job, macam tu. Jangan kita nak control semua job. Dan negotiable to other team member in term of work segregation dan sebagainya. Orang lain pun, kita bukan tak nak menonjolkan diri kita, tak. Kita ada limitation. Jangan terlalu tunjuk kita nak makan semua, jangan. Itu very important. Very negotiable. Last thing is be cooperative. Be cooperative in term of macam mana you solve the task lah. Actually that is one of the key things yang management level dia nak tengok. Dia nak tengok kita macam mana kita nak cooperate, because one day bila kita di-absorb dalam dia punya team, so of course dia nak someone yang boleh cooperate, someone yang boleh give contribution and cooperate well lah between the seniors and juniors lah. Some wonders why I changed from oil and gas to the car manufacturing company. Actually, during my graduations, as I said earlier, the job placement or job you open for graduate program only open subject to availability. During my graduation, there's no current availability at that particular time. After I working at Prodo about 2 years, almost 2 years. 3 years, almost 3 years. At that particular time, then the job come in from Repsol, then they go through, I go through, still the same. Kita go through cognitive test, online test, and then being called to their office, the HQ in Citibank untuk face-to-face interview. Then I passed the interview. The interview is like you are being offered 9 months program at Spain. They are going to train you in Spain 9 months, and then going back and work for them with a contract lah. But at that particular time, unlucky for me, I have because I already work in Prodwa, I have been born by Prodwa. Due to Prodwa also send me to training in Japan. It's about 2 months in Japan. So I have a bond with Prodwa. So to break the bond, there is some circumstance to break the bond, and then I need to refuse this offer lah to proceed with Repsol. But anyway, that is just part of the story. I think at the end, I come to the end. It's not a long talk. Thank you for your time. So I just want to highlight with many little strokes, last tree is fell, which is kita dah hidup kita ni, kita ada banyak obstacle, banyak cabaran. Tapi kalau you guys keep doing that, keep doing your best, keep taking step forward, insyaAllah one day the obstacle will go down and you guys akan makin dekat dengan you guys punya dreams lah. Itu ada gambar saya ambil ketika training dekat Japan itu. A very nice playground lah, with kids playing and their parents staying there. During summer lah, saya pergi time summer. Okay, saya rasa itu saja kot sharing.
Okay, terima kasih Kak Afiq. So thank you for the sharing. Saya ada sedikit soalan untuk yang follow up lah based on apa yang Kak Afiq dah share. So boleh Kak Afiq ceritakan balik tak macam mana you jumpa di scholarship, to be honest. Like I know di scholarship dia orang just offer to a few universities, tapi macam mana Kak Afiq jumpa di scholarship pasal dekat university tu?
Okay, to be honest, saya rasa time tu waktu saya first year, saya pun time tu masih dengan marah. Time tu saya tak aware pun ada scholarship ni. Memang tak aware sebab saya bukan. Dia ada tampal scholarship ni, the first step usually. So the first step dia akan approach with admin university lah. Admin of each faculty, of each school lah. So they will approach the admin and the admin will give data lah, especially the first sem punya achiever. Then of course admin ada data kita punya SPM result sebagainya kan. So of course dia akan bagi. Itu paling cepat lah usually scholarship akan bagi. Then for my case, saya tak rasa, saya rasa ada poster. Tapi I have seen the poster selepas saya dah dapat scholarship tu, I think. Selepas saya dah dia offer untuk panggil interview. Sebab saya dapat tahu saya dipanggil interview ni waktu I recently receive a call from this company itself. I receive a call. From the information, they say that they get the information from my admin faculty lah. Which the admin faculty, of course, they have filter through the exam result and so on.
Alright, okay, to backtrack a bit. Okay, so basically Ko Afiq masuk UTM, buat foundation dekat UTM ada MARA kan.
Betul.
Lepas tu masa dah lepas MARA, masa you under scholarship MARA, suddenly you applied and you got under scholarship lah kan. So masa you dapat Repsol scholarship, so you kena break the bond dengan MARA lah. So susah tak nak break the bond dengan MARA? Apa yang MARA suruh you buat? MARA suruh you bayar balik ke segala cost yang dia orang dah?
Kita go the good way, then kita dapat cara baik, kita reach cara baik lah. Supaya MARA tak ada masalah.
Okay. So because this Repsol is a company kan, oil and gas company, so memang ada bond lah. So can you talk a little bit about the bond itself? Walaupun you broke the bond, but yeah, just.
Okay. If I'm not mistaken, the agreement, the agreement, they state that there is a bond 3 years bond. Tapi like I said earlier, they subject to availability. Kalau on that particular time, dia orang tak mampu nak provide job placement and so on, then you are free to go. Your scholarship pun free lah, free lah. Then cara nak maintain scholarship tu setiap semester mesti achieve 3.5 and above lah for exam lah. They did mereka terima kalau I think saya rasa maksimum 2 kali je kot. 2 kali je you boleh dapat bawah dari 3.5. Yang lain
sebab 2 kali betul-turut ke 2 kali tak?
Dia tak ada highlight betul-turut, tak ada betul-turut. Tapi
sebab different dengan MARA, setiap kalau MARA you kena betul-turut. Okay, yeah. Never mind. Yeah.
Sebab kenapa dia highlight minimum 2 kali, if I'm not mistaken. Saya rasa kalau setengah courses, saya talking about setengah courses, kalau dah lebih daripada 2 kali, susah you nak maintain, you nak grade atas 3.5 dah. Kalau you less than 3.5, more than 2 semester kan, susah you nak grade. But never that, bukan tak dapat nafikan ada yang boleh, tapi just some of the cases lah.
Okay. So basically, because sebab you masuk ada MARA guna result trial kan? So masa you masuk UTM tu tak keluar result SPM lagi. So masa you apply ni, do you know apa syarat minimum SPM yang diorang nak? I know your result is good lah, but yeah, do you know the minimum?
Alah. Okay, untuk minimum
memang kena SUI ke?
I think they need, if I'm not mistaken, dalam dia punya application, dia tak highlight tau minimum straight A ke whatever ke. Tapi if I'm not mistaken, I think not straight A. I think saya rasa bukan straight A sebab during the interview saya ada tanya a few, saya rasa some of them tak dapat straight A. Tapi dia depend pada consideration sebab macam saya cakap tadi, dia other than dia tengok SPM result, dia akan tengok result first semester. First semester. If your first semester is promising, sebab dia juga open kepada postgraduate punya scholarship. Dan postgraduate tu dia betul-betul highlight result semester, which is dia mesti dapat first class lah. Baru
first class masa semester 1 postgrad.
Betul. Ah,
Untuk budak-budak, okey lah, budak-budak degree pakai foundation punya result. Okey.
betul.
Maknanya kalau
Dan
dah first year degree memang tak boleh apply lah.
first year degree macam mana?
Memang dah tak boleh apply lah. Maknanya yang boleh apply adalah budak-budak foundation, budak-budak dan budak-budak masters lah basically kan.
Dia bukan budak foundations. Dia kalau you dah masuk dalam course tu, you dah jadi
Okay.
first year you dah habis dah foundation kan? You dah jadi first year, then you can apply lah if you fulfill the criteria.
Dan dia tengok result foundation itself lah.
Foundation result, experience result. I think they only highlight a little bit during the individual interview. They did say, oh, your result SPM is good. That's all. They just say that. They just say anything about cara dia cakap macam maybe saya bercakap dalam 50% dia orang fokus kepada result SPM, but more than that yang fokus on result during your degree.
So tadi you ada cakap yang scholarship ni adalah untuk 2 course saja, oil and gas dan chemical. So macam mana dia orang bahagikan siapa dapat oil and gas, siapa dapat chemical?
Okay, that interesting part. Saya dia pernah tanya dia punya HR dia. Dia orang tak ada limit kan. For that year, for this UTM dia orang nak 3 orang, tak ada. Dia orang tak ada highlightkan benda tu. For my year on that time memang dapat hanya 3 orang sebab 3 orang sebenarnya yang layak. Macam tu. Dia based on kelayakan. Dia bukan based on bilangan. Dia ada certain limitation berapa orang dia nak, tak ada. So untuk jawab soalan Falan tadi tu, I think dia more or less something like that. Dia tak ada strict rule about that. Dia tak ada strict rule.
So yang boleh apply, okay, kejap.
Yang boleh apply anyone yang dalam course chemical engineering
dan oil and gas je lah. Okay, faham. That's why lah.
That for UTM lah. Di other university ada dia orang punya specific course yang dia orang target lah.
Tahu tak kalau universiti lain kan you cakap total, tahu tak total yang dapat scholarship on your year berapa orang? I know UTM 3 orang, UU lain total agak-agak.
Tak silap saya ingat saya ingat tahun saya je. Saya rasa dalam tak sampai 10 orang ataupun just 11, 12 yang tu. Saya ingat. Sebab saya pun tak datang during the awarding scholarship ceremony. Saya ada event kat mana saya tak ingat dah. Saya punya dekan ganti. Dekan fakulti ganti pergi ambil.
Okay, faham. So scholarship ni tak ada syarat kena internship dengan company masa cuti STEM ke?
Okay. Dia tak ada internship untuk cuti SEM waktu SEM break ke tak ada. Tapi kan kita kalau local university, kita ada third year punya kena apply untuk internship for 3 months. Like, seperti saya cakap sebelum ni, dia subject to availability juga. Which is betul. Kalau on that particular time, I think that is, saya rasa hampir dia normal environment untuk some of the oil and gas company lah. Sebab kalau on that particular time, dia required practical trainee, then they will open the position lah. On my particular time, they did open for that position. They asked us to select a few department yang kita wish to enter, but unfortunately, at the end, the opening is the HR tell me that they are regret that because of certain circumstance. I think on that time is oil and gas still at their own downturn juga.
This was 2016 kan?
Yeah. 2016, 2015. I think 2015. 15.
Okay.
2015. Then I need to apply another scholarship lah. Another placement, leadership placement.
Okay, faham. So tadi you cakap on allowance kan? You dapat allowance per semester, is it? Apa lagi yang dia bagi? Apa lagi dia bagi? So kalau you compare dengan kawan-kawan you yang under MARA apa semua, lebih kurang tak?
Okay. Saya rasa in term of semester punya allowance, kalau berbanding MARA ada lebih sikit lah. Okay. Lebih sikit. Dan dia ada bagilah computer allowance. Tapi computer allowance dia kena pakai. Dia bagi amount. I think pada masa saya dulu 2014 dia bagi 3,000 kot untuk beli komputer.
Okay, sama lah.
You kena guna to the maximum lah. Keedak sayang lah.
Lebih tak apa, yang kurang. So ada benefit lain tak macam housing ke apa ke?
Tak ada. Dia tak ada. Sebab
Tak ada lah.
memang kita time tu kat universiti UTM memang kita duduk dalam college lah.
Okay, budak mara bersama lah maknanya.
Betul.
Okay. So masa you interview, you ada buat research on the company itself tak? Penting tak research on the company tu? Kan masa you cerita you ada dua station interview, individual interview dengan group interview kan? So masa you prepare for the interview, do you do research on Excel itself?
Of course, that is my first point just now. You must be ready, at which you must ready in term of question lah. Maksudnya in term of your knowledge about the interview. Saya ingat time tu dia tanya at the end of the individual interview, I think that is a common question by most of interviewer lah. What do you want to know about us? What do you want to ask us and so on. In that particular time, I think situ bergunanya pengetahuan you guys know about the company because on that particular time you know something about the company, what the company, your company punya vision and mission. You can ask the question related to them lah, especially their goals, their 5 years punya planning dan sebagainya, dan ataupun current issue yang berkaitan dengan field company itulah. Especially if the company is focusing on oil and gas, why don't you ask what is a company prospect in terms of other source of energy dan sebagainya, macam tu. Then it's a good question lah for company.
So basically the best place for them to research is to go through the website lah kan? Dah
Yes.
familiar dengan website tu semua.
The website dan website as well as LinkedIn lah.
Okay.
LinkedIn also dia akan update. Usually LinkedIn dia akan update the latest news dan sebagainya. Website pun sama juga. Then I think of the information you can get from the someone you know from the same industry, or you know someone from the industry oil and gas, and you can ask what is on that particular time lah, what is Talisman punya oil platform kat mana sebagainya. The information also boleh dapat dalam yang punya website yang ada resources kat situ.
So ada perbezaan tak antara interview untuk scholarship dengan interview untuk pekerjaan? Macam okay, contoh lah, macam kalau interview untuk scholarship kan, untuk Repsol, do they expect you to understand what they do like very in depth, because you pun tak belajar lagi kan, you pun first year degree student, tak tahu chemical engineering tu apa semua, but how extensive is the question? What do they expect you to know? So kalau kerja lain lah, kerja memang they kind of expect you to understand basically, but kalau interview, kalau for scholarship interview, is it the same degree? The same degree of questions?
Okay, about the question, saya akan explain dua benda in term of differences and similarities. Okay, saya answer soalan Farhan dulu. In term of differences, kalau kita tengok, of course yang saya beritahu tadi, as per saya mention, for this particular scholarship, they don't expect you to know technical things. Sebab dia tahu kita first year and first semester, baru lepas first semester, kami to second semester. On that semester, usually second semester of the university, kita punya subjek tak ke arah on that particular time my field is chemical engineering, not really chemical engineering yet. It's just more to general engineering subject and stuff. We learn a lot of things, not to focus on chemical engineering. So they don't expect us to know very technical. And then even they don't expect you to know very technical, but what's the word? Jangan jadi bodoh sombong kalau you tak tahu a few things tu, just tanya je. Tapi bukannya tanya in term of kita nak tunjuk yang kita ni betul-betul tahu tak tahu. Kena find the limitation lah in term of question yang kita tanya dia kan. So maksudnya they don't expect you know much about technical, but not much until zero lah. They don't expect you don't know until zero, but at least you know 20%. Like I said, like your previous question is about if you know about their background, that is good enough. Which is we aware what they are doing, we aware what they want to achieve and so on. That is good enough that we halfly know what their business is about. That is in terms of differences lah compared to the interview during the job placement. They are very technical because they expect you when you get the job, you need to do the job. Even in my current company, even they apply the concept of dojo system, where after you get the job, you're going to have 6 months going around all the company, go to each of department, you're going to learn each of department punya process. They call dojo lah, dojo. because they adopt Japanese punya system. So you're going to learn all of them, all of this department. Some of that you learn jugalah. Tapi during the interview, they did ask a technical question lah. After all, depend pada interviewer itself lah. Usually dia akan tanya sebab dekat job placement itself, dia dah bagi tahu dah job scope kita apa-apa. So they expect us to do our study first lah, especially the technical part lah. Dan kita pun dah graduate by that time. Kita tak ada alasan lagi lah nak bagi yang kita tak tahu technical kan.
Betul. Tapi kalau masa you interview for scholarship, kalau you tahu technical, it's definitely a plus lah.
Betul.
It's not a requirement lah. Yeah. Dia pun faham dia kita student lagi.
Betul.
Okay.
Dan tadi saya cakap pasal differences. Kalau in term of similarities, whatever answer you are given, you must be firm of your answer. Firm, I mean in the correct way lah. Bukannya firm, bukannya menegakkan benar yang basah lah. Macam tu. Maksudnya dah tahu salah, kau nak betulkan apa lagi kan. Maksudnya, kalau kita rasa that kind of step is considerable to say correct and stuff, then propose your own stand, your own reasons kan. Sama juga untuk interview waktu kerja lah. Jangan berubah-ubah kita punya jawapan. Saya ingat lagi sebab saya interview untuk automotive industry, Prodo punya industry. Saya ingat one of the question asked by director tadi tu, dia ask about if we have Prodo car and Honda car, which one you want to buy? That is kind of tricky questions. If you are selecting the Prodo car, why? If you're selecting Honda, why? But the condition that he give on that time is both giving the same price, both giving the same spec. Which one you choose? So stay firm. Whatever you choose, stay firm. Don't after you select one model, then after he explain, then he ask once again, you want to change the answer. You should not do that lah. In term of similarity lah, stay firm lah.
Okay, alright, thank you. Okay, ada soalan panjang sikit. Saya baca. Assalamualaikum. I would like to ask whether you ask someone that is already in engineering course, do you think the petroleum and oil and gas engineering will provide lots of job opportunities in the future? Because as we know, technologies have been developing and kereta pun dah tak solely dependent on oil. So sebab kita guna electricity, or some developing country use alcohol to move their cars. So macam so in your opinion lah, macam patut ke diorang ambil is oil and gas, petroleum still relevant in the next 5 to 10 years? Dari segi job security and everything else.
Soalan ni actually dia besar soalan ni. It's a big question. Even saya tengok juga antara soalan yang famous lah ditanya dalam Lincoln. Kalau you guys ada Lincoln, join lah Lincoln punya website kan. Itu mostly professional punya platform lah kan. Jadi ini antara soalan yang famous lah yang ditanya berkenaan dengan job opportunities. To be fair enough, tak semua I think banyak industri kalau kita tengok lepas after COVID punya, even sekarang pun bukan setakat oil and gas affected. Tak dapat nafikan oil and gas one of the most affected lah. The biggest impact lah. Tapi many industri lain pun affected juga. Dan industri lain pun ada yang buat job retrenchment dan sebagainya. Jadi untuk menjawab soalan ni, job opportunity 5 to 10 years. To be honest, waktu saya apply course chemical engineering ni, saya pun tak tahu 5 tahun lagi apa nak berlaku. Macam tu lah. Maksudnya, you can ask the expert. I have seen some of the expert comment during the Lincoln. You can ask someone who already working 20 years and so on. But what I can advise about oil and gas is, I have a very close friend and some of my mentor from my professional engineer punya application. He did advise me about the oil and gas. The term for oil and gas companies, the companies they give a lot of money, but they also give a lot of risk. Sorry for the noise. They give a lot of money. They also give a lot of risk. You need to remember that. I think there's no such a company that give a lot of money but a very risk. I think it must be a balance there. There must be a balance. And some of the experts say that oil and gas company is one of the volatile industry. You need to understand. Volatile industry. They depend highly on the oil prices on the situation and so on. So if you want to take this kind of decision, make sure you are choosing courses, engineering courses that if you go for engineering lah, make sure you choose a courses that you are really keen of, not because you are focusing on your job in 5 to 10 years. Which is kalau apa-apa engineering job pun, apa-apa engineering courses pun, if you kalau kita betul-betul interested dan kita ada planning macam mana, then on what happen 5 to 10 years, siapa tahu kan. So kita boleh survive in term of positive way lah. Macam tu.
Like for you yourself, kenapa you decide to pilih chemical engineering?
Okay, from that particular time, from my opinion, I did a little research and stuff. I have known to expose on chemical engineering after I went to the foundation. After sebab dah masuk UTM tu, during the foundation, dia foundation science and engineering. Time tu kita tak tahu lagi engineering, kita ambil engineering apa dan sebagainya. Dah lepas habis foundation 8 bulan tu baru kita join. Which engineering course yang kita ambil. So during the 8 bulan tu saya tanyalah dengan lecturer kat situ. Lecturer daripada yang akan mengajar kita time foundation tu, lecturer yang datang daripada banyak fakulti engineering ada, fakulti sains ada. Dan throughout the lecturer process, kita boleh tengok lah which subject yang lebih kita fond of. Tapi kena ingat saya ambil chemical engineering. Chemical engineering is not about you love chemical dengan ni lah, dia bukan macam tu tau. Dia number one of course lah, you must love something about math lah. Math is very helpful subject lah dalam engineering. Talking about engineering, memang tak lari daripada mathematics lah. Tapi macam sebab saya on that particular time, sebab chemical engineering dia offer much more wider punya scope of job lah. Tapi kita bear in mind, apabila kita sebut these engineering courses provide much wider job opportunities, kita tak boleh nafikan engineering lain pun sama. Dia orang pun provide a lot of job opportunities. These 4 branch lah, chemical, mechanical, electrical and civil. Each of these branch, they have their own area of job opportunities. It's about how you're doing well in your degree studies. Itu very important lah. Itu very important. How you create yourself, how you build yourself to prepare yourself after you graduate.
Okay, alright. Thank you so much for the sharing. So basically ada yang tanya, apakah kalau we were to choose oil and gas scholarships specifically kan, apakah benefits, advantage of choosing Repsol over the other, Petronas ke, ExxonMobil ke, Shell ke, kenapa kalau you lah, kenapa you cakap okay go to Repsol instead of this other companies?
Saya to be honest, sebab yang ada, yang dekat UTM tu the scholarship memang dah datang scholarship tu. Dan kalau ada yang lain, Petronas ke, ExxonMobil ke, Shell ke ada, then kita pergilah. Tapi on that particular time, Repsol offer that scholarship to university. Then alhamdulillah saya dapat scholarship tu lah. Apa yang ada time tu lah. Sebab saya bukannya sekolah lain kan.
Betul. Ya, tapi kalau yang best bagi saya lah, Repsol ni tak ada bond. Macam dia orang pun tak kisah sangat. Like
dia really free lah. Dia really free. Dia tak kisah.
Dia orang memang fleksibel lah. Macam okay lah, kalau saya dengar macam wah menarik lah. Okay, so ada yang tanya, in your opinion, apa yang membuatkan you lagi outstanding compared to the rest of the candidate masa interview, scholarship interview dulu?
Okay,
share tips lah.
I think ketika interview individu, dia ada tengok kita punya letter lah, why we are thinking ourselves is eligible for the position, for the scholarship. That letter yang I explain earlier tu, letter tu yang kena hantar dulu kan sebelum dia orang shortlist kan. Saya ingat struggle saya nak type letter tu. Waktu tu saya cakap tentu tengah ada event dekat Indonesia tau. Dia tengah ada program volunteer untuk korban kat Indonesia. Kawasan very rural area. So I go to the program, Saya tu memang tak sempat langsung nak prepare the letter. Then kita pergi kawasan tu, kita join tu, kita tengok macam mana orang miskin hidup kawasan tu, kawasan kampung dan sebagainya kan. Then while part of the program, then kita dapat some sort of I call it ilham untuk type the letter kan. Dapat ilham kenapa kita fikir kita layak, dan part of the letter itself kita be honest apa yang kita nak achieve, apa yang kita nak buat, apa yang macam mana scholarship ni kita mampu explain macam mana scholarship ni mampu membantu kita untuk develop diri kita as a student, as undergrad student on that particular time lah. And then apabila kita mampu elaborate that time, then the scholars, the Repsol, bila dia tengok student kita yang punya potential candidate mampu explain betul, so dia tahu okay, this student have a plan for himself, what they want to do with the scholarship, what they think they can achieve with the scholarship kan. So they know kita pun ada plan, bukannya just we go for interview then we get lah, tak dapat lah, bukan macam tu. Kita ada plan apa yang kita nak achieve, apa yang kita nak buat scholarship tu. That one thing lah. Number two is I said during the group interview lah. During the group interview, I think on that particular time, try to be different in your own ways. Jangan kau semua lah. Macam tu, itu bahasa dia.
Ya, selalunya kalau memang group interview pun, kalau you seorang yang bercakap, tak semestinya diorang suka. Because lagi banyak you bercakap, lagi banyak counter points yang diorang boleh bagi. So,
betul.
Lagi banyak diorang boleh sangkang juga.
Betul, lagi banyak salah dijumpa lah. Macam tu lah.
Memang ada experience lah ya. Someone in my group interview macam salah cakap pasal memang dia kena. So yeah. Dan jangan curi seseorang lah. So one of your okay, ada follow up. Apa yang you cakap masa group interview tu yang membuatkan you different?
Group interview?
Yup.
Ni soalan mana ni? Soalan ni game tepi ke apa ni? Bahaya ni.
Soalan dekat chat.
Okay. Okay, masa group interview tu, kan saya explain tadi tu, dia dibagikan role kan, dia akan bagi case study. I think, saya ingat case study tu macam kita kena manage satu business. So saya punya role saya tu as accountant lah, as accountant. Betul, itu saya cakap, jangan expect you dapat role yang you nak. Sama lah bila one day you dalam masuk dalam company ke apa ke kan, you dah kerja nanti, jangan expect role yang diletak dalam job advertisement tu, yang tu you akan buat. Some of the role is false hope kita bagi. Jadi so that one of the, kalau you boleh adapt that role, that is one of the criteria yang dia orang take note lah. Okay, apa yang dia cakap pada interview tu, saya tak ingat lah, dia dah 7-8 tahun dah Baim. Nak ingat apa yang cakap dulu agak ni jugalah. Okay, time tu saya rasa saya ingat yang tadi tu lah yang saya highlight, yang bila dah habis punya event tu, saya part of the case tadi kita kena explain lah kita punya role dan apa yang kita contribute to the group lah. Kalau kita explain well, kita explain well ni bukan maksud kita guna bombastic word, bombastic English word, no. That is very wrong concept. Explain well is macam mana kita lower down kita punya language, kita sampai all the audience understand what we want to say. Itu important. That for me is meaning by explain well. So by that during the group interview, dan yang saya bagi contoh itu bila kita line up semua tu, saya lah orang terakhir tu yang saya cakap tu, bagi dalam batu 20 orang tu, saya orang terakhir yang hujung sekali. Dah 19 orang dah cakap okay, I get how to be independent lah, how to be corporate lah. Kita nak cakap apa? Kita fikir nanti dah habis dah ni, dah habis modal lah. So saya tak ingat dah saya cakap apa tu, tapi yang saya ingat, bila you bagi satu sentence, you just not giving a statement. You give example. You recall back during the activity just now, apa yang you dah buat sebagai bukti. You cakap, I develop how to easily negotiate with people, with other my team member throughout this project. So give example. For example, as a role as an accountant, as it is now, accountant, because I want the earlier cost, the project cost, this amount. I want this amount is being equally segregated to each department on my group, and then I take the role and I cooperate with them and negotiate with them and explain to each of them what's the actual amount that each of the department require and so on and stuff. So that's how you just not saying you doing the group interview you achieve this and that. No, you tarik balik, you recall balik, you recap balik apa example yang boleh ambil waktu you buat aktiviti group study. Itu penting, not just a statement, bagi example balik. So bila audience dengar, dia akan jadi lebih yakin. Dia just bukan cakap kosong lah maksudnya. Cakap kosong. Itu.
Bukan dia bercakap.
Orang
bukan dia
tahir
bercakap semata untuk bercakap je kan. Macam at least bagi something beneficial lah.
Betul.
Okay. Thank you for the sharing. Ada soalan dari Facebook, dari your classmate, Kaikal. Did the scholarship help you to secure your first job? Macam masa you interview dengan Pro2 dulu, is the scholarship like macam kalau bila dia tengok macam okay you scholar pada Repsol, does that bring something to the game lah? Is that your selling point?
To be honest, Pro2 bukannya saya punya first interview. Bukan punya first interview, bukan. There's a manufacturing company in Johor. I worked there for about 2 months before on the ketika saya kerja tu, time tu dah saya interview scholarship, interview dengan Pro2 I think dalam 4 stage. Pro2 ada 4 stage. So while waiting to pass for each stage, saya accept the first interview first. And then I dapat job yang kerja dekat manufacturing company dekat Johor. Then I work on that time lah. During the first, if you are referring to the first interview, they are not asking about your scholarship. No. They just asking about what you know about the company. Soalan yang common lah tentang dia punya company lah. Tapi tak silap saya dalam Pro2 punya interview, yes, the first stage HR lah, first thing HR, they did ask lah about my scholarship, ada bond tak, usually bond lah, bond punya isu lah yang di raise kan. Then saya cakap lah memang dengan Repsol tak ada apa pun, cool lah kan, macam ada job. Memang bond dia tak applicable kalau tak ada job, memang dia just release. Even saya time tu memang saya follow up dengan HR yang selalu, memang HR dia memang state that statement lah, yang macam memang kita tak terikat dengan apa-apa bond lah. You are free to search for other job lah.
Yelah, sebab company lain pun kalau you ada bond dengan Repsol, kalau dia orang nak hire you, dia orang kena bayar that bond.
Betul.
Macam dia orang pun risau lah.
That's why that one of the early question, tapi lepas kita explain benda tu, then tak ada masalah lah.
Okay. So kalau ada yang nak bertanya lagi, boleh silakan bertanya. Saya tengah check dua-dua. But for you, kalau contohlah kita pun tak sure if Repsol ada lagi ke tak for this year kan. Tapi kalau ada, would you recommend this to other students? Macam okay, kalau bagi saya lah, soalan saya lah, in term of duit allowance yang dia orang bayar per semester tu, dia orang bayar on time ke tak? Ada masalah tak? Lepas tu masa you study semua smooth lah, tak ada problem, tak ada apa, tak ada contract problem ke apa ke?
Tak ada.
Semua okay.
Usually I think most of the big companies really benda-benda macam tu dia orang akan jaga kan, yang punya image kan. So should be, tinggal saya tentu tak ada masalah, okay je.
Dan tak ramai sangat lah kan.
Betul. If you need pun kan, tak ada masalah dia nak manage kan. Soalan tadi apa? Nak recommend?
Would you recommend contohlah sebab you jump from Mara to Repsol kan. So kalau contoh in the future, macam students adik-adik nanti kalau dia masuk universiti, kalau they were given the same opportunity to jump from Mara to Repsol, would they take it?
Okay, pendapat saya, kalau dia ada opportunity, go for it. Ini bukan maksudnya stay in Mara tak ada opportunity apa kita tak define macam tu. Apa yang kita masukkan, having a scholarship yang macam Repsol semua tu kan, especially the company itself, dia ada bring kita ada bawa satu nama lah, satu branding dalam kita punya study je lah. This branding somehow saya boleh katakan indirectly boleh assist part of kita punya study. Somehow indirectly dia boleh assist. Dia akan assist in some way. Some depend pada rezeki lah. Kalau ada kadar tertentu, this branding is helpful to us for the future. And then this branding itself somehow might be good for during lepas dah graduate, walaupun you tak dapat job placement dekat Repsol itself. Kalau you apply dekat company lain pun, kalau dia orang tengok you ada hold this kind of scholarship, dia ada satu positive mindset. Sebab dia orang tahu you guys dah lulus dah pun interview daripada big company like that. So means that you guys dah pun distinguish yourself from other students lah. Macam tu. Other than dia orang tengok you punya as a result lah. This factor can be small factor lah yang contribute. Ada lah. Ada peluang ambil lah. Tak ada masalah.
Yalah, kalau dia orang tengok budak ni budak Repsol, lepas tu dia orang macam okey lah dari segi academic achievement, academic qualification memang okey lah dah lepas pada apa yang dia orang punya requirement kan. So the rest, the interviews yang lain-lain tu up to you lah kan. Okay. Alright. So we still have 4 more minutes. Oh, okay, ada soalan. Alright, so ada student yang bertanya, I would like to ask, masa saya, so basically student form 5 diorang ada mock interview last month yang buat anda salah typing juga. So masa
saya dah tengok dia punya, saya ada dalam group yang geng-geng interview tu.
Oh yeah, but you tak sign up for the device
sebab on that particular date saya ada saya tengok, saya kerja kot, saya tengok. Okay, so saya tengok video-video yang dia buat apa? Video tu kan, Vizume.
Yup, betul lah. Okay, so masa student ni mock interview, the interviewer commented that during group interview, diorang like chemistry between each other lah. So you ada tips tak macam mana you nak build or show ada chemistry between the fellow interviewee? Especially kalau masa you interview for scholarship, you tak kenal pun siapa orang-orang lain tu kan. Macam diorang mock interview tu, at least diorang semua budak form 5 typing. Tapi kalau nanti kan scholarship ke interview kerja ke macam memang lagi tak kenal. Macam mana you nak show yang you guys were being cooperative enough?
Ini untuk case kerja ke untuk case scholarship?
Scholarship dulu, yep.
Scholarship. Okay. Untuk scholarship, macam saya boleh advise. Okay, macam betul. Ini good question lah. Kalau kita tengok, kalau yang contoh macam case saya tadi tu, dia akan ambil spesifik courses punya students kan, macam UTM, Chemical Engineering and Petroleum Engineering. Even dalam satu batch, tak semua you kenal. Dan luckily lah kalau yang selected tu you kenal untuk pergi. So somehow that chemistry indirectly build lah. Tapi kita tengok case yang you tak kenal. Okay, itu scholarship. Okay, sebelum you masuk dalam interview punya group interview punya room tu, during the individual interview tu, seingat saya usually dia orang akan letak, saya rasa hampir sama kot mana-mana scholarship punya interview. Kalau sebelum nak panggil individual tu, tak ada dah dia letak seorang satu bilik asing-asing kot. Saya rasa tak macam tu. Kan? Very rare kan, selalu dia akan letak satu bilik khas tu semua kandidat kat situ. So saya rasa saya apply konsep yang sama lah untuk interview scholarship dengan interview kerja. Then that time lah kita create the bonding lah. Kita sembang-sembang, bukan jadi kayu duduk diam-diam dan tu pegang resume kita. Tak, kita time tu lah kita bonding dia orang. Kita kena ingat kita pergi tu, number one kita nak build connection. That is very important concept. Kalau kita pergi tu dalam mindset kita nak pergi berperang, kita nak pergi our own kepentingan diri sendiri, that is very wrong. Jadi kita tak dapat nak build chemistry sebab time sebelum nak masuk interview kita dah jadi terasing daripada orang. Dia orang duk sembang, kau daripada mana, kau you mana, sebagainya tu, kita duduk kat sini, duduk fokus macam duduk ready soalan ke apa ke, duduk ready. That thing you should complete sebelum datang interview lagi. Benda tu dah dalam kepala dan dalam punya nota ke simpan notes ke apa. Tapi bila datang interview tu, time tu, sebelum nak interview time tu, you take 5 minutes untuk create you punya bonding between the students untuk group interview lah. Bonding tu bukan mesti you kena tahu dia ada beradik berapa ke tak. Dia macam you tahu in term of somehow you beritahu orang tu macam mana by the way dia bercakap. So by having a small chit chat with them, you can know that kind of person macam mana sebagainya. You nak tackle orang macam mana. Memang you tak dapat nak tackle dia punya attitude keseluruhan. Tapi half the attitude yang dia akan tunjukkan sepanjang proses interview akan be display ketika you ada conversation dengan dia. Sebab apa? Time conversation tu semua orang masing-masing mindset dia orang akan sediakan diri dia orang apa attitude dia nak tunjuk waktu dekat hari interview tu. So bila you ada communication dia orang, automatically you boleh tengok, okay dia ni jenis orang macam ni, attitude macam ni dia nak tunjuk. So on that particular you dah ready dah. Taklah ready 100%. You ready at least, you ready 50% pun dah cukup. You tahu okay, bila group interview tu, okay aku nak cakap dengan orang ni macam ni cara dia. Aku nak cakap macam ni, aku nak bagi task kepada dia macam ni. Aku nak lead macam ni orang dia. Tak, aku group dengan orang A contoh. Orang A ni tadi time discuss nampak dia macam main player. Nampak? Dia nampak dia ni macam nak jadi ketua semua kan. So kalau kebetulan dalam group interview kita satu group dengan dia. Kita boleh ke nak jadi ketua juga? Maybe yes, maybe no. Yes kalau kita mampu tunjukkan diri kita dan kita mampu negotiate tu saya cakap tadi tu. Skill negotiate dengan dia why kita eligible untuk jadi ketua. Macam tu. Kalau no, kita tengok dia lebih nak jadikan diri dia sebagai ketua, then not kita provoke dia ke apa, tak boleh. Kita kena somehow kita tunjuk juga kita punya importance ni dan kita support dia. Ketua jadi kita jadi orang kanan dia ke orang sebagainya. Then part of the contributor of the group itself. So that's the result of bila kita dah mampu faham, kita dah mampu create bonding dengan orang. By that you can create a chemistry lah between each other. Memang it's normal, especially time kerja ke job kerja, datang daripada satu Malaysia untuk apply kerja. Kita akan jumpa macam-macam ragam. Kerja lagi lah kompleks sebenarnya, mana yang scholarship. Scholarship, student lebih banyak takut-takut lagi, masing-masing tunjuk perangai baik lagi, macam tu. Kerja ni sesetengah keadaan, sesetengahnya yang datang tu dah ada kerja. Dah ada dia punya previous position, dah firm dan sebagainya. So sesetengah pada orang tu just datang untuk test out for themselves, just datang untuk aku cuba-cuba lah, tak dapat macam tu. You deal much difficult lah sebab you kena tengok banyak macam-macam background macam tu. So for me untuk soalan tadi tu macam tu. Take 5 minit dah cukup. Dia tak payah spend banyak masa. Take 5 minit cukup untuk ni macam-macam dia orang. Jangan kata you time tu you nak bawa, you nak prepare untuk nak prepare nak jawab interview, jangan. That thing, the first step be ready, which is at home. Malam semua tu you dah ready lah. You dah patut dah ready lah. Soalan apa tanya kan. So by that time tu lah you create the small chit-chat untuk bonding. Tapi ensure the chit-chat should not be about provoke other lah. Jangan macam tu lah. Jangan.
Okay, tapi ini applicable kalau face to face punya interview lah kan. Tapi contoh lah, diorang ada group interview, dibuat secara virtual, secara Zoom, secara Microsoft Teams. So diorang tak ada masa, dia 5 minutes before untuk chit-chat and everything kan. But I think, kalau in my opinion lah, the chemistry building itself can be done during the discussion process itself. Macam at least you tunjuk lah, interviewer akan judge the way you berinteract dengan the other interviewees. Macam tengoklah macam mana you bercakap dengan orang, macam mana korang brainstorm and everything. So kalau Kak Afiq ada apa-apa nak tambah untuk virtual interview itself?
Virtual interview kan, sekarang ni dah kat arah virtual kan sebabkan pandemik ni kan. Okay, pendapat dari saya kalau virtual interview ni betul as per Fadlan cakap macam tu lah. Bila kita tak ada masa lah, kita tak ada masa untuk chit-chat macam yang dulu tu, macam face to face interview. Jadi untuk virtual ni saya suggestkan macam Fadlan cakap tu nice, which is kita tak ada choice lah, memang tak ada choice. Memang the only time kita nak create the chemistry is during the interview lah. On that particular time memang saya rasa almost 100% depend kita punya attitude lah. Which is kita ni kena jadi approachable lah untuk orang lain. Kita jangan tunggu dia approachable terhadap kita, jangan. Kita kena start dulu approachable terhadap orang lain. Kalau kita tunggu dia, masing-masing tunggu, tak ada chemistry lah. Itu je tak ada chemistry, masing-masing tunggu. Kau tunggu aku tegur kau, aku tunggu macam tu lah. So be yourself untuk tanya pasal group member lain. Kita yang create the chemistry. Kita yang initiate the chemistry. The first compound untuk create chemistry. Macam tu. Jangan tunggu orang lain.
Ya, kalau semua orang senyap, then somebody kena step up and initiate the conversation lah. Kalau
Betul,
tak,
betul.
memang semua krik-krik lah. Macam
Betul.
what happened at some of the mock interview.
Betul. Initiate in most, I think, try to be approachable and friendly manner lah.
Betul. Okay. So masa dah menunjukkan 9.35 PM. Kalau ada apa-apa soalan, boleh tanya soalan-soalan terakhir sebelum kita tangguhkan majlis ini. Saya nak check. Facebook tak ada apa. Okeylah, Puan Afiq, ada apa-apa kata-kata terakhir untuk para pelajar tingkatan 4 dan 5 masa typing?
Okay, do your best lah. Which is, you jangan stress sangat, jangan ni sangat. Yang penting bersedia. Itu paling penting sekali. Bersedia. In term of mental, physical. Bersedia apa yang you tahu. You mesti tahu apa yang untuk for particular cases, scholarship. You kena bersedia. You mesti tahu tentang company. You mesti tahu tentang mission company. You mesti tahu apa company nak achieve. Apa you punya contribution terhadap company tu nanti. You mesti bersedia lah. Apa-apa job pun I think kalau tak bersedia, dia akan lead to downfall lah benda tu kan. So tips yang paling utama bersedia. Kalau you dah bersedia, insyaAllah lah. Doa dan sebagainya. InsyaAllah you guys boleh achieve lah. Buat yang terbaik lah. Apapun cuba yang terbaik. Kalau you guys dah bersedia dan semuanya, you guys dah cuba yang terbaik, you guys tak dapat juga, tak apalah. Itu bukan rezeki you guys kan. Ada lagi yang akan datang. Mungkin Tuhan dah sediakan something better kan. Macam itulah.
Okay. Alright. Terima kasih Kaufiq. It was so brilliant. Alright. So terima kasih saya ucapkan kepada Kaufiq kerana sudi meluangkan masa dan untuk berkongsi pengalaman beliau sebagai seorang penerima beasiswa daripada Repsol. So saya harap para pelajar dapat input sedikit sebanyak daripada abang Kaufiq kita. So saya ingin memperingatkan para pelajar bahawa kita akan ada Career Talk Series pada hari Khamis dan Jumaat ini. Hari Khamis pada pukul 9 malam kita ada topik Sport Science dengan salah seorang alumni kita, dan pada hari Jumaat adalah topik adalah on TESOL, teaching English as a second language pada pukul 8.30 malam. So saya harap pelajar dapat join these two career talk series as well. So and then pada minggu hadapan kita akan adakan sharing session on scholarship series hari Selasa pukul 8.30 juga on MARA. Pinjaman boleh ubah lah. Okay. Kalau tak ada apa-apa lagi, terima kasih saya ucapkan kepada Kaufiq dan para pelajar yang sudi mendengar. So saya tangguhkan majlis ini dengan tasbih kafarah dan syukur.
Yes. Thanks Balai.
Okay, terima kasih semua.
Terima kasih Afiq.
Baik.
Terima kasih.
Thank you Afiq.
Terima kasih semua students. Thank you so much.